Alright, this video is called Missing Person Photos Found After They Went Missing. Now, low key, that would be intense and scary, and I know it's a lot of people that this happened to, like missing photos on the internet. That turns out these people are like actually like dead, cause you know like those TikToks that be like, oh, like 2 hours later found in a fucking car crash and mutilely murder and stuff like that. Shit's crazy. But let's get into the video.
This is the last known photo of 12-year-old Jared Negretti, a
12-year-old.
self-portrait he snapped on July 19, 1991 after he was officially declared missing
Everything that happens, I always say this, but everything that happens in the 1990s to the 1900s, they just looks creepy as hell.
earlier that day. Jared was a member of the Boy Scouts, and July 19 was
Oh,
meant to be a milestone. It was his first overnight
I gotta lift up
backpacking
my
trip
seat.
to the summit of Mount San Gorgonio, the highest peak in Southern California.
Oh,
Jared, alongside 5 fellow Boy
wouldn't it be cold as hell? Unless they got jackets and shit. But oh wait, oh isn't their head gonna hurt kind of? Cause like like if the higher you get, the lightheaded you are.
Scouts and an adult troop leader started the hike early in the morning. While the hike started off just as planned, the 11,000-foot ascent eventually took its toll on Jared specifically.
Shit, wait, hold on. Y'all been doing this in the 19. Do the Boy Scouts still do this hike? Or do they just do some boring stuff now? Low-key, I feel like that would be fun, but recipes to the kid if he did fall off.
He started to fall behind at around 6 p.m., unable to keep pace with the rest of the
Are you
group.
serious?
Determined to stick to the schedule, the group leader decided to go ahead with the other 5 kids and leave Jared behind. A
Why?
choice he would come to regret for the rest of his life. Not long after, a different group of hikers saw Jared descending the mountain alone and doing so in a dangerously unsafe way by shortcutting the switchbacks.
Oh,
Which, for those who don't know, it means he was ignoring the zigzagging trail designed to safely navigate steep terrain and was instead heading straight down the slope.
why?
The hikers had warned Jared about the dangers of straying from the designated path and also made sure to inform the scout leader when they had caught up with the troop further up the mountain.
And he didn't
The
care.
leader, however, shrugged off their concern, stating that they'd catch up with Jared on their way back. Unfortunately, by the time they came back, Jared was nowhere to be seen. It didn't take long for the troop to realize the gravity of the situation. They quickly descended to the base camp and managed to call for help around midnight, sparking one of the largest search and rescue missions in the region's history.
So you let a 12-year-old boy walk by himself. You should have been like, no, you coming with us automatic. Cause like, bro, like you're responsible for their safety. But this is the 1990s, so times were different. But hopefully now this doesn't happen again if they're Boy Scouting and hiking up the fucking mountain that's high up and shit.
Over the following days, rescue teams scoured a massive 130 square mile stretch
Oh
of
my
the San
God.
Gorgonio wilderness. But there was no sign of Jared anywhere.
Was he
It wasn't
kidnapped?
until day 3 when they found their first clue, a footprint matching the high-top sneakers he was wearing at the time of his disappearance. Further search of that area also uncovered more items that belonged to Jared, including the wrappers for beef jerky and candy, and most importantly, the disposable camera he had with him. Inside, the film held 12 photos, most of which were landscapes he
Oh yeah, I forgot. It's old, so it's gonna be black and white. That's still creepy
captured
as hell.
throughout the trip. But the final image, taken after he had gone missing, was a chilling close-up of Jared's own eyes and nose, illuminated by the camera's flash.
Yikes.
And while this photo proved that Jared was still alive hours after he went missing, it offered little to no clue about his whereabouts. The pitch-black background and low resolution obscured any background details that might have helped rescuers pinpoint where the photo
So
was
it's
taken.
nighttime.
Over the next 2 weeks, nearly 3,000 volunteers and professionals poured more than 45,000 combined hours into searching the vast San Bernardino National Forest. But with no solid leads to follow, the search dragged on without making any significant progress. On August 4, after 16 days, the search for Jared was officially called off by the authorities, leaving the mystery of his disappearance unsolved to this day. So, what really happened to Jared? Well, there are several possibilities. The first of which is that he accidentally took the wrong trail and got lost while trying to catch up with the rest of the Boy Scouts.
People would have found him by
while getting
now, though.
lost is a common cause of disappearance in the wilderness, it doesn't quite add up in Jared's case. You see, this all took place in the middle of summer, so there was no
Wait, real quick before he like finish off what he's saying, I feel like my foreshadow, he either got kidnapped, a mountain lion came out of nowhere and sadly got him, or a grizzly bear, a wild animal of any sort got to him, or he fell off somewhere that got him hurt and like he couldn't move anymore. And so like that's my top three situations. Because he either got kidnapped or some other shit or some entity or something. Yeah.
No risk of him succumbing to harsh elements like extreme cold. He also had plenty of drinkable water in the 2-quart canteen he had on him, not to mention the countless freshwater creeks and ponds dotted throughout the mountain. Put simply, he would have survived for at least a few days, and with thousands of rescuers scouring the area, it's likely someone would have found him.
I mean,
so a
need
more
food
plausible
still,
theory
though.
is that he
I mean, you can
potentially
survive
slipped
without
and fell
food
off
for
a
like
sheer cliff.
how long?
After all, he was
But you can
shortcutting
survive
the
with water,
switchbacks
at
when the
least.
second group of hikers spotted him. It's possible he kept taking those dangerous shortcuts after they left, and one misstep on the steep terrain in the darkness led to a fatal fall. But this still begs the question, why didn't any of the rescuers come across his body despite the extensive search? Which brings us to the third possibility. He was dragged away by a wild animal.
That's yeah.
Mount San Gorgonio is home to both black bears and cougars. Some people
They say you can scare off a black bear though, but cougar, I'm not too sure. Them niggas big. Them niggas are big.
also believe the glowing dot in the background of Jared's last photo is one of the eyes of a predator that was stalking him at the time.
Oh,
However,
hell
the
no.
search teams didn't find any clue of this being the case either. There was no blood, torn clothes, or drag marks anywhere in the area, which
hell no.
points to the most disturbing possibility that instead Jared was abducted by someone. If we accept this as true, it explains why there was no sign of Jared or his body anywhere on the mountain. Unfortunately, it's been over 33 years since Jared vanished, and
43?
investigators still haven't found anything that could guide them toward a proper conclusion. His disappearance remains just as much a mystery today as it was the day he went missing.
Damn. Yeah, that's chilling. That's creepy.
On June 15th, 1989, a woman in Port St. Joe, Florida, spotted a Polaroid photo lying in the parking lot of a convenience store on her way out. Without thinking much of it, she picked it up and flipped it over, only to be met with a disturbing image she'd never forget.
Oh!
The photo showed a young girl and a much younger boy lying in the back of a white, windowless van with duct tape over their mouths and their hands seemingly tied behind their backs. The woman alerted the police almost immediately.
Of course, it's a white fucking van. Of course, it's a Of course, it's a white van. It's always the white vans that you gotta be careful of.
Especially since the white van in the image looked eerily similar to the one she saw in the same parking lot minutes earlier.
Oh shit, is he still
She
there?
also provided a description of the driver, allowing investigators to create a sketch of the suspect. However, even after setting up a perimeter around the area, the police weren't able to find the van or
She
its
should have
driver.
tracked that
What
bitch.
they didn't know at the time was that this photo would eventually connect to a crime that took place more than 1,500 miles away. The victim of this crime was a 19-year-old college student named Tara Lee Calico.
Oh no.
On September 20, 1988, nearly 9 months before the Polaroid was discovered, Tara left her home at around 9:30 a.m. for her daily bike ride. Every day, she'd ride down New Mexico's Highway 47 until reaching the railroad tracks intersecting the road, turning around and taking the same route back home. But on
So
this
you gotta be careful, bro, cause like still, even though you feel comfortable, you still gotta be careful when you're in your guard. Like that's like look like a middle of nowhere. So if it's nighttime, bro, and if it's only one car and they following you, you're cooked. You need to have some people with you when you do that. I know you feel like you feel comfortable and stuff, situations like that. But I feel like if you're like in a middle, if you're in like the desert like that, I feel like you should have someone with you at all times.
particular day, Tara had plans with her boyfriend at 12:30 p.m. and didn't want to be late. So she told her mother,
Whoa. Your boyfriend didn't even try to pick you up at least? He didn't try to pick you up from his place?
Patty, to come pick her up if she wasn't back by noon. And that's exactly what happened. When noon came and went,
I
with
feel
no
like the
sign of
boyfriend should have
Tara,
went
Patty
before.
got in her car and began driving along Tara's usual route, hoping to find her somewhere along the way. However, despite going up and down the highway a couple of times, she couldn't find Tara anywhere.
Oh wow.
Patty rushed back home and called the police to report Tara missing. The authorities immediately put together a search party and began looking for her in the surrounding area. And it wasn't long before they found their first clue, a cassette tape that Tara was likely listening to on the side of the highway. They also found tire tracks matching her bike near this cassette. Unfortunately, Tara and her neon pink bike were nowhere to be seen.
Are you
As
serious?
the search radius became larger, the only other clue they found was a broken piece of her yellow cassette player, miles from where she was supposed to be. Patty believed her daughter had been abducted, and this piece was her way of leaving a trail. This theory was further supported by multiple witness accounts from people who reported seeing an old, worn-out pickup truck closely tailing Tara as she headed back
Y'all seen it but didn't try to help her. What the fuck?
home around 11:30 a.m. Witnesses also noted that Tara was wearing her headphones at the time and seemed unaware of the truck. This suspicion only became stronger when 9 months after her disappearance,
So who's the
this
little boy?
Polaroid was discovered in Florida. The woman who found this didn't know about Tara's case at the time, but as the photo gained more attention, it eventually reached Patty, who became convinced that the girl in the picture was her missing daughter. Not only did this girl look like Tara, but Patty also noted that the book in the photo was from one of Tara's favorite authors. The connection between Tara and this photo deepened further when another New Mexico family came forward claiming they recognized the boy in the photo. They believed it was their son, 9-year-old Michael Henley, who'd gone missing in April of 1988 during a hunting trip with his father. However, that's when Tara's case took a turn. Because, as it turns out, there's a real possibility that the girl in the photo isn't Tara at all.
Oh,
For
wow.
starters, in June of 1990, investigators found the remains of Michael about 7 miles from the campsite he was staying at. He wasn't abducted by anyone.
Did the dad
Instead,
kill him?
he likely just wandered off, lost his way, and subsequently died of exposure to the elements. This led many to question whether the Polaroid
Oh
had
my
any real
God.
connection to Tara's specific disappearance at all. And investigations from different departments enhanced the confusion further. Some concluded that the girl in the photo was undoubtedly Tara, while others pointed out the many structural differences between their faces. But if she wasn't abducted by the owner of this white van, then what exactly happened to Tara?
And what happened to that
Surprisingly,
person
we might
that
actually get a
kidnapped those
conclusive
kids?
answer to this question more than 37 years after her disappearance. On the 13th of June 2023, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office announced a massive update on the case, stating, "At this time, law enforcement believes there is sufficient evidence to submit this investigation to the District Attorney's Office for review of potential charges. Currently, the identities and specifics of the persons of interest are sealed by the court and will remain so until a court order otherwise."
Oh, wow.
Put simply, after decades of investigating, the police have finally cracked the case and are just waiting for the DA's approval to release the information to the public. As for why it took so long, a widely believed theory is that Tara was accidentally hit by a group of teenagers while biking home.
Oh, damn.
Fearing the consequences, they panicked, abducted her, and eventually killed her to cover up the accident. And according to some, one of those teenagers was the son of the local sheriff,
Oh,
leading to a
shit.
deliberate and coordinated cover-up that kept the truth buried for decades. Now, whether this theory holds any weight is unknown. But if this does turn
And even if that was a theory, bro, you're gonna have more trouble and more like in the future. You're gonna like they're gonna still hunt your ass down because now that you have attempted murder and murder, you technically murder someone. You're gonna have like more of a sentence now, you dumbass. Well, you practically lived out your whole life. You have 36 years, so like you practically lived out your whole life. You know, just go to jail.
out to be the case, who the girl in the Polaroid picture actually is remains a mystery.
Yeah, that's creepy as fuck.
On June 8, 1988, an ATM in LA captured what were possibly the final moments of 22-year-old LA resident Matthew Chase.
Yikes.
The day had started like any other. Matt spent most of it at work, then went out for dinner with his roommate and close friend Teresa. When the two returned home at around 11:45 p.m., Matt noticed the paycheck he received
he
earlier
British,
that day
or-
sitting on the coffee table.
I see
He
the
was running
flag.
low on funds, and the bank would have taken about 24 hours to clear the paycheck. So instead of waiting till morning, Matt decided to go deposit it right away. The nearest ATM was just 2 blocks away from their apartment.
And just think about it. If you would have just waited until the morning, everything would have been straight. But he decided to go at night. If he,
But
Yeah.
since it was getting quite late, Teresa told him to take her car just to be on the safe side. She also asked him to bring a bag of cat food from the store across the street.
on top of that too, it's late at night. You have a check in your hands. It could be that looks like a kind of shady ass, sketchy ass town, low key. A nigga probably saw that check and like he probably ran up on him.
The whole trip should have taken no more than 15 minutes, but an hour went by and Matt still hadn't returned. Teresa figured he was just driving around town to get some fresh air, so she went to sleep. However, when she woke up in the morning, Matt was still not home. She quickly got up and contacted her brother Steve, who was also good friends with Matt. Together, they called the police and tried to file a missing person report. Unfortunately, since Matt had only been missing for less than 12 hours, the police decided to
They didn't
hold
care
off
about
on
it?
launching an investigation just yet. Unsatisfied with this response, Teresa and Steve decided to find clues themselves, and so Steve called the bank pretending to be Matt. According to the bank, Matt had unsuccessfully tried to withdraw money several times since, including one transaction of $280.
Oh wow.
This was quite odd for two main reasons. One, $280 was far above the maximum withdrawal limit for Matt's ATM card. More importantly, Matt's account didn't even have $100, let alone $280, which is why he went out to deposit a paycheck in the first place. He should have known both of these things quite well. So the fact he tried to make these transactions anyway indicated that he was being forced to do so by someone else. Teresa and Steve called the police again with this newfound information, and this time authorities took the case more seriously. Though, unlike today, most ATMs at the time didn't have cameras.
Yeah.
Luckily, one of the machines he tried to withdraw from did have a functioning camera, giving investigators a crucial lead, a grainy but discernible image of Matt at the ATM, with a mysterious man looming just behind him.
Wait, I don't see
As
it.
the investigation was going
can see
on,
that.
Matt's card was used again, a day and a half after his disappearance. By then, his paycheck had cleared, allowing whoever made this transaction to withdraw $400. The authorities took notice of this withdrawal and froze Matt's card. So the next time someone tried to use that card, it was confiscated by the ATM.
They could check it.
Unfortunately, none of this helped investigators track down Matt or his kidnapper.
Are you serious?
There were 2 composite sketches made of the suspect from the low-res photo, but no one recognized the man based on these. They also tried dusting the confiscated card for fingerprints, but it was completely clean. On June 27th, nearly 3 weeks after Matt's disappearance, the car he'd been driving was finally found, and it was surprisingly close to the ATM that captured this photo. The fact that no one had spotted it sooner suggested that it was likely dumped there later by his abductor. And while it was wiped clean of any fingerprints, just like the card, police did find a blue bandana in the back with the letters ESPBSCLS written on it.
Is that a
From what I
gang?
was able to find, ESPBS stood for East Side Playboys, a notorious gang in the area. Despite this
Like I said, sketchy ass town with an ATM. They robbed them.
connection, however, investigators weren't able to find any solid evidence that could help them track down the suspect. By this point, the chances of Matt making it out alive were looking increasingly slim. Tragically, his friends and family's worst fear came to light on September 17,
They found the body
1988,
in the
when a
wo-
group of people found his body floating in a ravine in Pasadena. He had a gunshot wound in his head, and according to the autopsy report, was killed and dumped in the ravine 3 months ago, likely a couple days after his abduction. But with no other leads, Matt's case went cold for the next 30 years. Then, in 2018, LAPD announced that they had the answer to Matt's disappearance. According to the report, Matt was killed by a 20-year-old gangster named David Mesa, who went by the name Bear. Apparently, David's girlfriend confirmed that the man in the ATM photo was indeed her boyfriend. As for David himself, police found out that he was killed in a gang-related shootout just 2 days after he supposedly killed Matt. Now, this raises more questions than it answers. Like, why would anyone kidnap and kill
So he got his instant karma for. He got his instant karma for killing someone that he robbed, basically. That's fucked up. But like, damn, that's why you always gotta check your surroundings too. And if he would have just waited until daytime, it'd been fine.
someone just for $400? Was David alone in all of this, or did he have any accomplices? And if David died days after committing the crime, who dumped Teresa's car near the original crime scene 3 weeks later?
Yeah.
That said, this revelation was still enough to give Matt's friends and family the closure they needed after 3 decades.
Wow.
In March of 1998, 23-year-old Amy Lynn Bradley went on a cruise with her brother and 2 parents. However, what began as a joyful
Bro, every time I hear about crew rides, missing reports, fucking, they jump off the thing and never seen again. I refuse to go on a cruise. Like, hey, cruise might be fun as shit, but I already don't like the ocean. I already don't like the ocean. Like the ocean, I just feel like it's something deeper inside that's gonna get me.
family
But yeah, if y'all fuck with the cruise, yeah, y'all fuck with the cruise. But like me personally, I'm not fucking with that shit.
vacation descended into a disturbing nightmare just 3 days later. One the Bradley family hasn't recovered from to this
Okay, I thought they said all the whole family got fucking turned up and crazy.
day. On the night of March 23rd, Amy and her family dined out in one of the ship's restaurants. And according to her family, Amy was getting a lot of attention from other passengers, as well as the staff, including the band playing
So they was being fucking weird. They was hitting on her.
in the restaurant. Some of the waiters even proposed taking Amy to a bar on the mainland before the ship sailed.
I would
but
hate
she
this
declined.
shit.
After the dinner, Amy and her brother Brad went to the ship's nightclub for a few hours and returned to their room at around 3:30 a.m. They sat around and chatted on the balcony for a few hours before Brad went to bed.
Isn't that sad that you go on vacation and you can't go on vacation because weirdos and creeps? I feel bad. Like sometimes, like no, most of the time I feel bad for women, bro, because they have to watch out for these fucking creeps, bro.
Leaving Amy on the cabin's private balcony.
That shit's actually crazy. So like wait, what happened?
5:30 in the morning, their father Ron checked on the kids and saw Amy peacefully sleeping on a lounge chair outside on the balcony.
AK, you see her peacefully sleeping here. Get her up and take her to her bedroom, please. please don't be like, oh, she's grown. She got that. She can just stay there. Please just pick up your daughter and just take her to the room so she can go to sleep.
But when he returned 30 minutes later, Amy
Oh my god, you left her there for 30 minutes, bro.
was gone. Thinking that she likely went to the main deck, Ron went looking for her. However, even after hours of searching, he couldn't find Amy anywhere.
Oh
All
my
of her belongings
god.
were still in the room, including her shoes. So when Ron informed the ship's crew, they floated the idea that Amy could have fallen overboard. The crews had also docked at Curacao.
Why the fuck would you leave? Even if she did fall over there, why would you leave her there for 30 minutes sleeping? Like on the fucking side like this.
Resulting in over 3,000 passengers disembarking the ship. If she was among the departing passengers, her parents had no way of spotting her in the crowd. So they focused their efforts on the ship itself and started scouring every inch of it to find Amy, to no avail. But then something incredibly strange happened. As Brad was looking for his sister, he was approached by the nightclub's bassist, Alistair Douglas, offering his condolences for Amy's disappearance. He was dancing with Amy the night before, but he shouldn't have had any way of knowing about her going missing.
Yeah.
This made Alistair the lead suspect, but after further investigation and a successful polygraph test, he was cleared of any suspicion. The Bradley family, along with the FBI, then began searching for Amy on the island of Curacao, where they received their first promising lead. A local cab driver claimed to have spoken with a woman who matched Amy's description to a T. Unfortunately, the tip didn't lead to any major breakthroughs. So, with no other option, the Bradley family was forced to return home to the US. Then, in August 1998, a Canadian tourist named David Carmichael saw someone he believed was Amy on Curacao Island.
She was
We're
alive?
in a small area where we wash off the equipment in fresh water. And I looked down the beach and I saw a girl walking down the beach with being flanked by two people. The minute she heard I spoke English, she picked up her pace and was putting distance between her and the two people that were flanking her. I was 2 feet away from her. 2 feet. That's how close I was. I don't even have to think about it. It's 100%. It's not 99, it's 100. It's 100%. It was her. It was.
David also claimed that one of the men following her fit the description of Alistair. Later,
Wait, that nigga was a captain? That little
investigation also revealed that an American naval officer was visiting an adult establishment on the island in 1999. There he met someone who claimed her name was Amy Bradley. Unfortunately, the officer never reported the incident, likely to avoid repercussions for visiting such an establishment while on duty. By the time this information surfaced, the place had already burned to the ground, and with it any records of the people who might have worked there. However, the most important clue about Amy came in 2005, when someone found pictures of an older Amy on the internet. These pictures, along with her earlier sightings, led many to believe that Amy was kidnapped and trafficked, possibly by Alistair, with some even suspecting a coordinated effort involving multiple crew members. That said,
see how she looks so happy with her family, and then she, 2005 just the drastic change, and I can understand why, because she's being trafficked. That shit is crazy, bro. That shit. Damn. So are they gonna? Did they ever find her? Like, did her family ever got her? Ever since it's been 2005, did they?
Nothing ever came of this theory, and Amy was declared legally dead on March 24th,
Oh my god.
2010, 12 years after her disappearance. Now, it's still possible that Amy simply fell overboard and drowned, and that the woman seen on Curacao and the one in the photos are nothing more than unfortunate lookalikes. But with so many scattered clues pointing toward a far darker possibility, it's hard to write them off as a simple case of mistaken identity.
But real quick though, I just want to say this could all have been avoided if the dad or brother, whatever, just say in case they see her sleeping on the fucking dock or lounge, wherever the fuck it was. You left her there for 30 minutes. I'm sorry. You could have at least got her up and took her to the room so she can go to sleep. You did not have to leave there for 30 minutes. I understand she's probably a grown-ass woman or some shit like that, but still, I wouldn't leave a grown-ass woman out there in the 1990s or 1999s because, you know, them niggas were moving weird back then. They still are moving weird, but still, I feel like you should have just took her back home. Took her back to the room, and then been all okay. But tell me how y'all feel about it. Comment down below. Share with your friends, of course, and see you on the next one. Peace.